My name is Antonio Garcia, and today I'd like to assist everyone towards the quickest, most effective way to address soloing over chord changes in standard tunes. Chances are when you see a lead sheet and combo or a short improv solo section in an ensemble chart, the chord symbols look like calculus to you and don't really help you calm down at all as you create your solo. This particular jazz standard, The Shadow of Your Smile, has 36 chord changes, 16 of them different from the rest. And yet, let's hear what it sounds like to play one single scale, the G major scale, over the tune's form. Why G major? Because this tune is in E minor, and E minor's relative major is G major. Most of us know our major scales as well or better than our minor scales, so let's stick with major scales for now. I'm pretty sure no one hearing that ran out of the room screaming. That one scale fits really well. In fact, the G scale over these chord progressions often creates dissonant, tasty tones, clashes that sound skillfully complex, that then easily resolve into consonants. Those dissonant moments make listeners think you're using more than the G scale. So why is it that when so many of us try to solo over the chords to a standard tune, we instead try to react to every single chord change? I've got news for you. Professional jazz musicians quickly understand the bigger picture of what the tune's chords mean, how they propel a key center in a way that many jazz students miss. So beginning jazz musicians who can cut the changes, mentally deleting some of the chord symbols' individual value in favor of the bigger picture, may have a better perspective for creative soloing at the outset of their efforts. Most popular song melodies don't have a lot of accidentals. The composers wanted them to be popular. The more chromatic accidentals that appear in a melody, the harder it is for the mass audiences to hum or sing along, capture that tune, and be interested in buying recordings or sheet music that make money for the composer. So these Broadway and movie musical composers kept their melodies as diatonic as possible, and in order to create interest, they shifted the chords under those melodies, so that the end result offered tension and release in the music. Smart composers. So if the tonic scale was good enough for the composers of the tune over so many different chords, why shouldn't you explore it as one of your first avenues for improvisation? I'm not suggesting that you should forever express yourself entirely via the tonic scale, but isn't it great to know how useful and dependable it can be for you? Relax and improvise a good melody. Let's look at the music theory of this principle for a moment. I'll stick to the key of C major here. I'm sure that many of you have seen the modes of a major scale before, and I hope you'll agree that I could call the Dorian mode Fred and the Locrian mode Pass the Salad. They'd still be the same notes of the C major scale, but starting on different scale steps, right? What if you stacked a series of chords in thirds above each note of the C major scale, all notes staying in the key of C? Then I hope you would agree that all the chord tones would also be the same notes of the C major scale, but starting on a different scale step. And this is where we discover that if any of these 7 chords appear within a C major tune, or its tune in the relative minor key of A minor, you can just play the C major scale over it. There are certainly many other choices, but wouldn't C major be a very relaxing start? But don't take my word for it. Allow me to solo for you over some of the tune, The Shadow of Your Smile, which is in E minor. I'll demo the G major scale first, then use nothing but that over the chords of this tune. This cutting the changes approach doesn't work over every tune in the world, but it does work over most of what we call standard tunes in jazz. Some standard tunes are playable with one major scale, some with two or three or just four. And because I'm betting that you and most of your students enter jazz knowing more about a major scale than about a blues scale, the major scale is a quick point of entry from which you can improvise great solo lines. Here's a sample of a variety of standard tunes. The number of chords represents how many chord symbols appear on the lead sheet during one chorus of the tune. For a novice jazz soloist, each symbol would likely interrupt his or her train of thought. The number of different chords doesn't count any chord after its first appearance in the tune, and the minimum number of key centers equates to how few keys a soloist could employ to virtually completely be inside the chord changes of the moment. The practicality of the cutting the changes approach is self-evident. These tunes average more than 10 times as many chord symbol interruptions as key centers. I ask you, would you rather initially learn to solo over a new tune approaching these concepts with the numbers from left to right, or the numbers from right to left? You can explore this approach on your own and find good success with it, but if you want a guide, I invite you to check out my book, Cutting the Changes, Jazz Improvisation via Key Centers, as I've presented it in a way that is accessible and practical for the jazz beginner or intermediate of any age, including instructors. It's published by Chose Music in 5 editions: C treble, C bass, B flat, E flat, and F. You only need to be able to play some of your major scales. The book presents 13 great standard tunes without chord symbols, instead showing major scale key centers. Lyrics are included for all but one of the tunes. The book then offers the same 13 tunes, showing the chord symbols so that you can compare the two versions of each tune if you like. The Play-Along CD provides you with an inspirational accompaniment of piano, bass, and drums for each tune, plus 6 demonstration tracks in which you can hear me soloing with the rhythm section on tunes using the cutting the changes concepts. If you want to learn more jazz theory, the CD-ROM includes an additional text of more than 70 pages in PDF format. It includes almost 70 musical examples, linked to visuals in the supplemental text. The CD-ROM also includes printable PDF scores and parts for rhythm section, optional guitar, plus piano, bass, and drums. These charts match the form and style of the Play-Along CD and provide the level of notation you'd want for musicians newer to the jazz tradition: voiced chords, plus chord symbols for piano, fretboard guides for guitars, bass lines, and drum grooves. And in the post-CD era, you can also export the files from the CD and CD-ROM and use them from your own device. Thanks for listening. When you're faced with soloing over a new standard tune, try singing the tonic scale over the whole form and see how it sounds. I wish you great success in soloing with the concept of cutting the changes during your improv solos.